Next story is an AI software engineer. It's a YouTube video, so we're gonna watch it and we're gonna laugh. And we ain't gonna laugh too much, but this isn't our ballpark, so we have to ask some hard questions. So let's see how it goes.
Hey, I'm Scott from Cognition AI, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to Devin, the first AI software engineer. Let me show you an example of Devin in action. I'm gonna ask Devin to benchmark the performance of Llama on a couple different API providers. From now on, Devin is in the driver's seat. First, Devin makes a step-by-step plan of how to tackle the problem. After that, it builds the whole project using all the same tools that a human software engineer would use. Devin has its own command line, its own code editor, and even its own browser. In this case, Devin decides to use the browser to pull up API documentation so that it can read up and learn how to plug into each of these APIs. Here, Devin runs into an unexpected error. Devin actually decides to add a debugging print statement, reruns the code with the debugging print statement, and then uses the error in the logs to figure out how to fix the bug. Finally, Devin decides to build and deploy a website with full styling as the visualization. You can see the website here. All of this is possible today because of the advancements that we've made in both reasoning and long-term planning. It's a really hard problem, and we've only just started, but we're super excited about the progress that we've made so far. In the meantime, if you'd like to try out Devin on your own real-world tasks, send us a request below, and we'd be happy to forward it to Devin.
All right. No. Here is my problem. That is too smart for comfort.
You think so?
Like, yeah, that requires you to troubleshoot a problem and come up with a solution, which is not what large language models purport to do. Large language models predict what to say next, and based on a data set, they tell you, well, here's what I think, or here's what I say, whatnot. They basically fabricate as much. It draws on as much data as possible to give you an answer, and where it can't give you an answer, it fabricates it and calls it thought. But in this case, Devin, whatever his name is, was able to troubleshoot code while checking a browser and accessing APIs. Now, each one of those could be done individually. You could write a prompt and get a prompt to give me the top 10 APIs to access and how to access them. Or you could write a prompt to say, create a website for me. Or you could write a prompt to say, what are the things that you could do to troubleshoot this code? But somewhere along the line, it prompting all three of them at the same time. Or going from one prompt to the next prompt to the next prompt with a high level of consistency based on that video.
Yeah.
That is actually problem solving. Which is
So
that's scary.
So the only thing I would say to add to that could kind of dial back some of the concern is that when you're doing a demo, it's be highly curated, and you could set it up in a way to show your best parts. So that demo could probably be like the best case scenario. Just same like with a couple of weeks ago we was looking at Sora with the images. So that could probably be like a particular scenario that you put it in, and this is the best possible outcome that you could get in that particular scenario. So it could be that built, to handle these specific types of scenarios well. So I mean, not downplaying it, it's pretty impressive, but for me to be like real concerned, I had to see it in action, doing a lot more things, a lot more complex things, because this is like a real specific task generally, right? But doing more complex things and, doing things on the fly and, more or less let somebody try to break it. Like, you could right now you could go to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, and you could really prompt it and, get into it and see how it would deal with certain things and, really get into it, I would like to see, and I mean it probably not at that stage as yet, but as you say, is impressive. Well, I don't know if impressive is the word.
No, well, it's impressive that you could get a demo to even reach to that point.
Yeah.
That's where it get impressive for me, because to reach to the point where you could say, okay, guys, we have one test case demo that works properly. Let's use that. Just the fact that demo working, that's saying something that concerning.
Yeah.
You understand?
You have something to build up on. To scale. You know?
Now, what it actually doing is not coding. It's doing problem solving, because right now, well, any large language model could do the coding for you and tell you where there are issues or where there are problems to a high degree, and then you could just jump in and fix whatever else you didn't get to fix, right? But what it's doing is problem solving, because problem solving, you see, the first thing it did was come up with a list of things that you have to do, the APIs that you want to use, the extensions, the add-ons, whatever it is you have to get. It was able to figure that out. And what I was saying as is that each one of those things could be done in silos. But when you have to merge those silos together, you need a human to be able to piece it together. It did that. And I want to believe that this is something a little different to regular prompt engineering. This is more along the lines of make the AI, prompt the AI, and they have to talk to each other. So I remember there was a video where they had ChatGPT talking to Bard, right? So they say they put in a prompt in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was accessing Bard's API or someone of them other APIs, and they were sending the messages back and forth to each other. And they had a conversation, and the conversation devolved into utter chaos because they didn't understand what they were saying, and you were like, what are they even saying? They started to talk about beach chairs, they started to talk about the umbrella, they started to talk about ants, all kind of things the conversation went to, because when they prompt each other, they feeding back garbage into each other, and eventually once one hallucination comes in place, then they will start to talk about the hallucination. This one, I don't know, it might be prompting properly, it might be asking the right questions to the right large language model, and they get the right response, and then taking action on it.
Yeah, so it's one thing to think about, and I think we discussed this like a couple of weeks ago, right? So this is Devin AI. It's a new company, something it probably look like a small group of people, I don't think it's much developers or whatever, right? Working on this software engineering AI. So you think that this small company is the first company to do something like this? And Google and ChatGPT do already have something that at least 2-3 years ahead of this, and it just in the background.
yeah, they do. But as I was always say, smaller companies have very little to lose when it comes to releasing these things. Bigger companies have major stock to lose. Just like how Google had to stop the image generation because of the racial thing. Yeah, this small company, I'm gonna be like, this thing coding for you, sure, no problem. All right, cool. They sell it to 5 people, and the 5 people realize that it's trash. Those 5 people make an uproar on their social media, and then boom, 5 days later, version 2.0. They sell it to a different 5 people, and it's cool, no problem, because they figured it out. So I think the others would have figured it out, but it's too risky to get the AI to talk to the AI.
It's a real conundrum. You working on this project as a software engineer.
So I read any comments right now.
on our product, I'm gonna take your job eventually. You created.
Yep. The first comment is, imagine losing your job because of an AI named Devin. And somebody generated an AI that will take his job.
Yeah.
That's tough. I feel there would be some limitations because the demo shows you shows you this, there'd be some limitations as to what languages they could use and what frameworks that they could use. I feel it's most likely a bunch of HTTP and Python frameworks because that's the most common things that you will have. HTTP websites with Python backends. That's basically what they're teaching you to use these days because that's the most efficient way to have the most plugins, to have the most whatever else you think you need to have. And if it's narrowed down to that, then we didn't really had we didn't have to worry too much because it could only do data analytics and produce a website.
Yeah.
Creating our web app, I don't think it will be able to do that.